do the demo of the special bonding liquid, solder bonding liquid, as it says here on the pamphlet, which can also be used to deposit and to solder on stainless steel with breeze. Same like you're doing it on copper wires or PC boards or wherever the case may be. Okay, solid pieces and so on, wiring and things like that. What is a solder bonding liquid? Solder bonding liquid, it's a small, as you can see on the pamphlet, just it's enlarged, solder bonding liquid, even to stainless steel. Okay, it's a small little, let me just get it to here. It's a small little bottle key like this, which comes with a cap. It has got the dispensing narrow sort of nozzle. And because you'll be using only a tiny drop, not too much. So, and as you can see on the bottle, what it says, it's a solder bonding liquid even to stainless steel. Does the bonding of actual solder. Now, because you'll see just now, in such a minute quantities gets used, that you can do at least 1,000 joints with this small little bottle key. Although it looks like a very small, but for what it does, and that is that no other solder or other means can attach to sort of stainless steel plates or units or wherever we want to actually solder, or some strange metals that are oxidized, like you will see just now, where I have done already some samples. Let me just focus over here. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, let me just put the bottle here. I don't know if you can see it over there. I've done it on a very rusty piece of steel. I deposited solder with ease, no problem. Okay, on the side cutter, which are made out of stainless steel, also with ease, but I'll redo it again so you can actually see it. Then on brass, then on different sort of batteries. Lithium ion, which are very sensitive to temperature, but you can solder now, no problem, because you will not be spending too much time with it to damage the battery, to explode and things like that. Lithium ion, lithium batteries, watch batteries and things like that. And then, of course, we got PC boards where you can use, where you got a very stubborn dirt, and you cannot solder, you use this bonding liquid, and Bob's your uncle, no problem. What do you require? Okay, let's go to the nitty-gritty. I got the isopropanol, okay, for cleaning afterwards and so on. I got the fine rosin core, which is decent solder, let's put it that way, not top-notch, but it's a decent solder. I've got the bonding liquid, in order to be able to prevent oxidation, etc., and so on, and promotes the actual sticking of solder. And then, of course, I've got a sandpaper, fine sandpaper, small little piece, and of course I got the Stanley knife sometimes to scratch, like over here I had to scratch, because there was plenty of rust over there. And then I'm going to try on nichrome wire used for heater elements. You'll see how the solder, which is made out of a special sort of combination of stainless steel with the other sort of stuff in order to get the resistance. I'll try it on the side cutter, pure whatever, and pure stainless steel, and I'll try on different batteries, and of course I'll try it also on the board, and then you'll see for yourself. Okay, let's start with the penlight battery. Okay, that's a penlight battery. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one and I'm going to deposit the solder. Watch now how easy it is. Of course, the first step is I'm just going to do this. Okay, all right, that's it. That's enough. Okay, I'm going to sit down now on the bench. I'm going to deposit. Okay, now look at it, the tiny amount of flux. Okay, let me just zoom. Can you see? It's a tiny little drop. In other words, you don't use plenty. Okay, now we take the solder. And of course, let me zoom again. We take the solder and of course soldering iron. Of course your soldering iron tip has to be clean in order to, you know, accept the solder. Okay, you can see it there. And then watch now. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, not even 2.5 seconds are actually spent. And it's a thick coating, sort of layer of solder that they deposit. And there's no way that you're going to take it off. Of course, if there's a bit of a residue or whatever, you know, you should have also, forgot a tissue, toilet tissue. And then you just wipe it off. Of course, what you can do is, like I'm doing it over here with my isopropanol, I just spray a little bit, and then, you know, so it becomes shiny if you want the perfection and things like that. And look at it. It's perfect. No problem. Let's try it on this side. Okay. Again, same procedure. I take sandpaper and I clean it up. You know, remove the oil if there is, or some residue. Of course, I'm going to especially finger sort of oils and things like that. And then I'm going to deposit a little bit. You can see it's a tiny, tiny layer. It's not much. Okay, very little, very little. Okay, let me hold the battery and watch. As I touch it, it actually takes it. Look at it. The whole battery. It's about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Without overheating. And as a matter of fact, I can even touch it because it's not hot. You can see. And look at it. It's a very, very, very thick layer of solder. All right. Again, same procedure. If I want it shiny and to be fussy and so on, to look pretty, I just isopropanol and look at it. Perfect. Okay. Let's try it on the most popular 18650 lithium-ion battery. Okay. Although we do microspot welding of tags and things like that, you know, on these batteries, for fear of overheating them and things like that, you don't have to fear now any longer. Let me just file it, because you spend so little time that you don't require, to spot weld. Of course, there is a place where you cannot avoid microspot welding that we do, but nonetheless, for this type of thing, again, I just wipe it off, okay, and then again, I deposit. Okay, there we go. It's a tiny little sort of patch of liquid. Of course, your tip has to be clean. Look at it. There we go. Look at it. It's a thick layer of solder. Okay, let me just add a bit more. I didn't feed enough solder. Look at it. It's within 2 seconds. Okay, and it's done. Now I just apply isopropanol because I want it shiny. As I said, I like it. And it's not hot. You can hold it straight away. So which means the temperature did not go onto the battery. Okay, I can even do it at the back if you want. Okay, but let me go, not to make the video too long. Okay, let me take a stainless steel. Okay, where I've done it over here, you can see solder, it's very thick. Nonetheless, over here it's clean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deposit the solder over there. Okay, so let's do it this way. I'm going to use the knife now to scratch it a little bit into combination. Okay, I'll clean it up a little bit. I'll use even the okay, I'll clean it up again. And then, of course, I apply. Okay, now, watch now what happens. Of course, it's a big mess of stainless steel, so I need to increase a little bit temperature to be able to melt, to heat up the okay, let's see. Watch it. Now, that's stainless steel, eh? And look at it, how fast it actually takes it, okay? And I didn't even scrub it that hard, okay? And, of course, solder would flow very nicely if the material is preheated. But this was cold, and then I just apply the solder, and of course, look at it. I can actually touch it. It's not hot. It's hot, but it's not burning me or anything like that. Now, if I want the perfection, again, let me do it again. I spray it a little bit, and then clean it, and perfect joint. Let me zoom onto it. Okay, look at it. And it's a fairly thick blob that I just deposited onto stainless steel. Try any other solder or any other method besides this sort of solder bonding liquid. You will not be able to solder it or deposit the solder on a stainless steel. Let's try on the brass. Okay, let me just clean it up a little bit. I'll just do this. There we go. That's good enough. Okay, I'll just wipe off any residual oils from the hand or things like that. And then, of course, I'm gonna deposit. I'm gonna drop a small little drop. Okay, there we go. Tiny little drop. Of course, I use the same solder. Let me just apply it and watch it. Okay. Okay, let me do it this way. Actually, I should have done it that way. Okay. Look at it. It's a thick sort of layer of solder that I actually deposited on quite a thick sort of rod. You know, and basically that's what it takes. Yet without, yes, with some fluxes you might be able to solder on the brass, no problem. But with this bonding liquid, Batos bonding liquid, it makes it much faster, much easier. Okay, so we've tried even that. Let's try over here on the copper wire. Okay, now remember, the copper wire oxidizes. The moment I touch it, oils from my hands and wherever, they make it dirty. So I'm just going to do this, just a little bit scratch. I'm going to take a bonding liquid, and I'm going to just deposit a little bit. Okay, or you can actually take a small little dispenser, or you know, something where something like this, where you can actually put, and instead of sort of squeezing it, you can just put the liquid in a container like this and then just dip it. It's much faster if you're doing plenty wiring and things like that. And watch now, it's got a little bonding liquid. So a little drop. Let me just, sorry. Oops. I'm trying to operate the camera to do three things. And solder and... Alright, watch now. Look at it. It just sticks. Just sticks. From the bottom, from the top. With very, very much of ease. No problem. 1, 2, 3. And it's done. Okay. And it's a thick. You can see the solder is penetrated all around the wire. Then let's try on the PC board. Okay. Now you can see the copper board. Sometimes it's got paint, stubborn paint and stubborn dirt and things like that. So what you do is, of course, you apply, but I don't have to actually. I just wipe off, I take, and I apply, I clean it. There we go, it's clean. And then I take a bonding liquid and I put. It's very little, as I said. It's a tiny drop. That's why I said, with this little bottle, you can do God knows how many different joints, or soldering sort of joints. Okay, now I take the same solder, and watch now. It sticks like crazy. Look at it. I'm not even moving the solder. Okay, watch it. Look at it. Perfectly. Without leaving like a dirty spot or dirtying the board or things like that. So now let me try to bond this here, say this wire. Of course with two hands it's quite difficult to actually do anything, but okay, watch it. Look at it, perfect joint, okay, all around. You can see it. Okay, let me just zoom the camera. I don't know if you can see it, you know, nicely on a camera, but none, you know, from the camera on the video. And even when you do the surface mount upward, you can also use Batos Bonding Liquid. So basically, even over here, if you look at it, let me just pinpoint what I've done. Now this is a what do you call it? Also stainless steel plate. Okay, a big stainless steel plate. And with ordinary solder or any other solder or any other mutti, to solder it, it would be a mission. I don't think you'll be able to solder it whatsoever, because I have tried and I could not succeed. And I just same procedure, bit of a, you know, sandpaper, and again Batos Bonding Liquid. I just put a drop, and then fine rosin core and a soldering iron, and there we go. And if you look at it, it takes and it flows very nicely. Okay, now I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to solder it onto because you do get applications where you need to solder. Watch it there. There you go. And there's no way that you can do what I've done with the ordinary stuff that you have, unless you got, of course, for a 10th time, Batos Solder Bonding Liquid. Okay, so on that note, basically I quickly demonstrated. Of course, I've got another stainless steel wire that I use for springs and things like that. Let me actually do it on a nichrome wire. Let me do it on a nichrome wire. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to deposit solder. Okay, now nichrome wire, it's very difficult, impossible to solder. It's more complex sort of a combination of metals than the ordinary stainless steel. So it's very, very difficult. You can ask anybody who is in the industry and who is dealing with nichrome wires or played around, he will tell you no chance to put the solder on. But with, of course, with my stuff, okay, again I just sort of scrape it a little bit, and then again, and that's good enough. Let me just wipe it off, and then again. Okay, I put too much, but nonetheless it doesn't matter, it's fine. Okay, watch now. Okay, you can see solder is sticking. You can see it perfectly. Okay, I'll show you a blob. I made a blob of solder. Okay, and I'm sure you can see it on the video. Look at it there. Okay, and it's not even that hot. Okay, yeah, although solder is still hot. Let me again put, and I'm gonna leave a blob, and you can actually see it. I'll bring it to zoom it. There is the solder, and it's all around the actual nichrome wire, which is impossible to solder. So I hope I demonstrated, as I said, and it's not that hot or anything like that. I hope I have demonstrated what you would call it in my simplistic manner, you know, the power of Batos Bonding Liquid, which actually bonds even solder, bonds even to stainless steel, even nichrome wire. So where it's a small, okay, you want to see actually on a fragile battery. I have done already one solder joint. Let me do this as a last thing, okay? And then we complete the video. Okay, I'll just file it. There we go. And they're sensitive, these batteries. They cannot, okay, I'm just going to put a small little blob there and you watch it. Look at it. Within 2.5 seconds, okay, I have, and it didn't leave that much of a residue or dirt or anything like that. Of course, if I want it really shiny, again, I apply isopropyl, I clean it, and Bob's your uncle. So again, you don't have to spot well. You can solder on this type of batteries. And sooner or later, if you're in electronics and you do it for the living or even as a hobby, you will basically end up needing Batos Solder Bonding Liquid. Okay. On that note, I hope I explained it well. And thank you for watching sort of, the actual video. Yeah, on that note, let me say thank you and till the next time from Bato.